So, when you hear typhoid fever, what comes to mind? Probably something from an old, dusty history book, right? Well, what if I told you it's not a relic at all? It's a modern threat, a silent epidemic that's happening right now, and it's affecting millions of people. We're going to find out exactly why.
Okay, just take a second and let this number sink in. 9 million. That's not a typo. According to the World Health Organization, that is how many people get hit by typhoid fever every single year. We're not talking about some minor outbreak here. This is a full-blown global health crisis hiding in plain sight.
All right, so what is typhoid exactly? Well, it's a really severe infection caused by this bacterium, Salmonella typhi. And let me tell you, this is no ordinary stomach bug. It all starts in your gut's lymphatic system. You can kind of think of that as the body's internal drainage network. From there, it stages a full-blown invasion right into your bloodstream. That's the technical term doctors use, bacteremia.
So, to really get a handle on this, we're going to follow the entire journey of this disease. First, we'll look at the sheer global impact. Then, we're going to track the bacteria itself as it invades the human body. After that, we'll see the battle that unfolds inside, learn about the medical detective work needed to even identify it, and finally, and this is the important part, we'll talk about how we can fight back and stop it from happening in the first place.
Okay, first section. So why is this thing such a massive public threat? Well, at its core, typhoid is what they call a disease of dirty hands. Yeah, it's a pretty blunt term, I know, but it gets right to the point. This is all about sanitation and hygiene, period.
And this is what really puts the stakes into perspective. Out of those 9 million cases we just talked about, more than 110,000 people die every single year. I mean, that's just a staggering number, especially for a disease that we actually know how to prevent and treat. It's tragic. Okay, here's the real kicker. This is the crucial detail that explains why typhoid is so darn persistent. You see, the Salmonella typhi bacteria, it can't really survive for long in animals or out in the environment. Its only natural home, its only reservoir, is us, humans. That means it spreads from people who are sick and this is the really dangerous part, from healthy carriers who have absolutely no idea they're even contagious. All right, so how does this tiny bacteria actually manage to take over a whole human body? Let's zoom in and look at the invasion itself. I mean, how does a microscopic organism go from just being out there in the world to causing a truly life-threatening illness? It's pretty wild. The way it spreads is actually a really simple but devastatingly effective 3-step cycle. Okay, so step 1, an infected person sheds the bacteria in their feces. Step 2, that bacteria gets into the water or onto food, or even just onto someone's hands. And finally, step 3, a new person swallows it, and boom, the cycle starts all over again. It's called the fecal-oral route, and it's exactly why proper sanitation is just everything. And once it's inside you, this bacteria gets right to work. It doesn't just, hang out in your stomach. Oh no, it burrows through your intestinal wall and sets up camp in your lymph nodes, where it starts multiplying like crazy. And from there, it hijacks the body's lymphatic system. It's like an internal superhighway, and it rides that highway straight into your bloodstream, spreading the infection literally everywhere.
So, what does this whole invasion actually feel like for the person who's infected? Well, for someone who isn't vaccinated, this illness turns into a dramatic, week-by-week, 3-week battle for your life. So what you're looking at here is the classic progression of the illness. It unfolds in these distinct 7-day phases. It starts out kind of subtle, but it gets progressively worse. And if it's left untreated, well, week 3 becomes the real danger zone for some very serious complications. Okay, so week 1. The beginning is insidious, meaning it's really sneaky. The fever just creeps up a little bit, day by day. You get this relentless headache and often constipation. But here's the real telltale sign for doctors, the big clue. A strange, slow pulse. Think about it. With a high fever, your heart should be racing, right? But with typhoid, it's often unusually slow. That's a classic clinical clue for any medical detective. Now, by week 2, things get really serious. The fever hits a high plateau around 39–40 degrees Celsius, and it just stays there. This is when a state called typhos sets in. It's this awful combination of apathy, just utter exhaustion, and even delirium. The infamous pea soup diarrhea starts, and a doctor might be able to spot these faint, rose-colored spots on the abdomen, a true hallmark of the disease.
Okay, so with all these crazy, evolving symptoms, how do doctors actually confirm that they're dealing with typhoid? Well, it takes some serious medical detective work. And as you're about to see, when it comes to the diagnoses, timing is absolutely everything. This chart right here shows the challenge perfectly. See, the gold standard for diagnosing typhoid is what's called a blood culture. That means they literally try to grow the bacteria from a sample of the patient's blood. But just look at the success rates. In week 1, you've got a 90% chance of getting a positive result. By week 2, it's down to 75%. And by week 3, it plummets to just 40%.
So the takeaway is super clear, right? That window for a definitive diagnosis, it closes, and it closes fast. Getting to a doctor and getting tested early makes a world of difference. It's not just about starting treatment. It's about knowing exactly what you're up against.
And if that diagnosis is missed or even just delayed, that's when you hit the real danger zone. The complications fall into two pretty scary categories. First, you've got septic complications. That's where the bacteria itself spreads to other organs, like the liver or your bones. But then you have the toxemic complications. These are caused by the actual poisons, the endotoxins that the bacteria release. And these can lead to catastrophic events, like your intestine literally tearing open or severe inflammation of your heart or brain. Just awful stuff.
But listen, it does not have to end this way. This disease is absolutely beatable. So for our final section, let's look at how we fight back. We'll cover treatment for those who are sick and, maybe even more importantly, prevention for everyone else.
Okay, so the good news is we have weapons to fight this, antibiotics. But choosing the right one is tricky. You've got different classes, and they all have different strengths. The biggest challenge we're facing today, though, is growing antibiotic resistance, especially in areas like South Asia. It's this constant battle that forces doctors to be smart and adapt their strategies on the fly.
But treatments is only half the battle. If you really want to win the war, the ultimate solution is prevention. The real victory against typhoid comes from a full-on, multi-pronged public health assault. We're talking mandatory reporting of cases, isolating patients, and, this is the big one, tackling the root cause with clean water, proper sewage treatment, better food hygiene, and of course, targeted vaccination for high-risk populations.
And this quote, this really gets to the absolute heart of the challenge. Asymptomatic carriers represent a real public danger. What does that mean? It means the so-called healthy carriers, people who carry and spread the bacteria without having any symptoms themselves, they are the hidden engine driving this entire disease. They are a true public danger, especially if they handle food, because they're unknowingly just keeping that cycle of transmission going and going.
And that really leaves us with a final, crucial thought to chew on. Typhoid fever is such a stark reminder that your health is never, ever separate from the health of your community. So if the ultimate cure for a disease this devastating is something as basic as clean water and good sanitation, what does that say about our shared responsibility? What role do we all play in making sure public health is a reality for everyone everywhere?